Tom Ginn here. Good afternoon. Good morning. Wherever you are, we just wish you the best. Today on Own Your Own Health, I've got an exciting guest that I'll be introducing here in a moment. But the whole premise of this platform of Own Your Own Health is to bring people in to bring attention to alternative or holistic approaches to health issues and concerns that we have, everything from the cognitive side all the way to the physical side. And we're blessed here in the United States that we do have some of the best crisis care in the world. So if you broke an arm or had a need for surgery, but the downside is that we don't have a wellness system that helps people better understand wellness, taking ownership of their health. And so my wife and I, we have a wellness center here. We've seen these challenges. And so we made a decision to bring people in, like my guest I'll be introducing here in a minute, to just bring different levels of awareness and ask the right questions so that you can make those decisions for yourself to improve your health, your quality of life. So that's sort of the mission here. And but I'm going to be right back, and hold tight. We're ready to introduce our guest. I ran across Katie in a previous interview with somebody else, and I said, people need to hear the story and her story, what she's doing and helping people solve some issues in their lives. It's an epidemic space in this world today. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring in Katie. And Katie, I hope I did this. Is it JANECKO or JANECKO?
It's JANECKO.
JANECKO. So I really mess it up in two different ways. So
it's totally okay. It's not really related to me in any way, shape, or form. So I never mind.
All right. I appreciate it. I mess up people's names all the time, and I do apologize on that. But what I'd like to do today is, it's just tell your story. But what I'd like to do is just, I always like to start our conversations out with this right here. What are you grateful for today?
Let's see. I write a gratitude list every morning. Something I'm grateful for today. I'm grateful today because yesterday I got to spend the whole day with my mom, my sister, and my niece, and we went over to the Wrigley Field, Gallagher Way, Chris Kindle Mart thing, and it was just a really, really nice day. And it's great to think about those things that you're grateful for, I think, because 10 years ago, you would not have caught me dead this week with my family celebrating anything. So I'm just really grateful that I get to be present with them and share and create memories.
I appreciate that. Gratitude is, I have another program called G-Force, and G is for gratitude. And I use that. It was introduced to me in my coaching, and it's made a difference in my life. And we all have challenges. Many times we think we have the biggest challenge in the world until we see somebody else's. But when we come from a place of gratitude, it's actually a healing principle. There's science at what it does for our body and our mind to work the way it's supposed to. If we're in a state of negativity and fear and all that, our body starts not working as efficiently. So there's a lot of science. So gratitude is a very powerful principle that people be grateful for this moment. I'm grateful for this very moment. This is the most important moment of my life. And people say, well, how can that be? Well, because what happens in this moment dictates what happens the next moment, and it compounds itself through our entire life. And so, I'm so grateful that I've run across a beautiful woman that has a tremendous story that could make a difference in people's lives. And so that's what I'm grateful for this moment, that we can touch somebody in a way that can change their life. And I think that's one of the reasons we're here on this earth, is find that purpose to make a difference. So, well, Katie, thank you for sharing your gratitude here at Own Your Own Health. Why don't we just start with this? Where are you from? Where you're born, a little background, a little bit about your story and your mission in life, and what we're here to help you support.
All right, awesome. I'll try to make it real tight, because I can get drawn out a little bit. So I'm from Chicago. I was born just outside of the city in a town called Cicero. And I'm sure if you've seen the movie Chicago, you know the song and talks about Cicero. It was like that growing up. It was a little bit better, but kind of a rough neighborhood from until about now. But and then I grew up in Brookfield for a period of time, and then my dad lived in Chicago, and I've been here on and off for the last 20 years. And then, yeah. So you want me to just hop into my story?
Yeah, absolutely. Just
okay. So I'll start that I got sober when I was 26, right before my 27th birthday. And that was not part of my plan in life ever. I never wanted to be sober. Well, rewind though to before I even used drugs and alcohol, I never wanted to use drugs or alcohol. So I had these extreme ideas of what I thought my life was going to be like. And it did not turn out that way. And I'm actually pretty grateful that it didn't, because I have an incredible life now. And looking back, talking about gratitude, and being in the moment, I start to think about this moment, and I start to think about the web of things and the people that I had to meet in order to get to this exact moment right now. And when I can think about my life and my story and everything that happened, most people, when you hear what I have to share, and I'll share some of it today, hear and they're like, wow, this is crazy. How are you that person? And how can you be so grateful? And how can you have these things? But it's taken a little bit of work, but also just a daily practice of looking at life from the lens of gratitude. Because if you look at it from that lens, you can start to see that even the things that you coined as the worst thing that ever happened you can find gratitude for it, because you can see that if it didn't happen, you wouldn't be here right now where you're at. And every moment I get to rewind and kind of look at that. So I started drinking when my parents decided to get separated at 10. And it was just to fit in. It wasn't I was drinking to be an alcoholic or trying to do things but my friends were drinking, and we were just exploring and trying new things and experimenting, I guess is the word I'm trying to find. Yeah, experimenting. And I really didn't like it. I didn't really do it often or anything. It was more of just that thing that I wanted to get away with. I was always ooh, I wonder if I can get away with this. I'm going to take one of my mom's little wine mixers or whatever from the fridge and see if I can hide from her. And then, life got a little bit crazy. My dad had relapsed, and he went back into his addiction around the time I was 12 or 13. And my mom started dating somebody that I really didn't like. And I felt very alone in the world. And then it kind of started to take off, and I started to drink to help my emotions, because I felt like I was always kind of sad and angry and confused at why this was happening to me. All of my friends growing up, had seemingly normal lives. Their parents were together. Their lives seemed good. Their families were happy, and my family was falling apart. And I was just all right. But drinking really made me forget that I was feeling those emotions. So I started drinking a little bit more often, going to more parties. And then, around, I want to say 15 or 16 is when things really started to go downward pretty quickly. I started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I started quitting sports. my grades started to fall. I was a straight A student for most of my life. I, junior year of high school, moved in with my best friend and her dad, and basically told my parents that I didn't want them in my lives anymore. Even though they weren't doing anything wrong, they just weren't doing what I thought I needed for them to do to be the right kind of parent. And that's when my drug addiction kind of took off, and I quit school. Well, almost failed out of high school. Oh, I'm so sorry. And it was just this wild ride of me, and I didn't know how I got there. It was just like all of a sudden I was a straight A student, and then next thing I know, I'm almost failing out of high school. And it was like it happened in a blink of an eye, all of a sudden. And all the shame and the guilt, it just kept piling on. Like I just was such a mess. I was getting arrested all the time. I was selling drugs. I was just praying all the time that like I would be okay. And then I went off to college, and I thought, all right, this is it. I'm going to college. I am going to start all over. I'm going to go there. I'm going to meet new friends. It's my friends. It's my family. It's my house. It's everything was the problem except for me. And so I went off to college, and within the first, 2 days, I had already found the friends who drank. I already found the people who partied, and there I was off to it again. And I kept getting arrested. So I ended up failing out of college. And, I all of the dreams that I had, I wanted to be a doctor growing up. I took all of the classes in high school. I could have graduated my junior year, and I just kept taking all the extracurricular kind of classes that my school offered. And they were all in the health and wellness field so that I can go to school, become a doctor. I wanted to be a brain surgeon. I was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to be my whole life. I prepared for this moment, and I threw it all away. And, but in hindsight, I didn't really throw it away, because all of that I learned and the things that I knew like intuitively are how I got to where I'm at today. And it's so funny because I was in AA for 6 years, and I quit about 1.5 years ago, and I'm still sober and everything, but I just decided that it wasn't really for me anymore. And they say this saying in AA, like lost dreams awaken. And I remember thinking like, well, I'm never going to be a doctor because it's way too late. I'm 26. I still haven't finished. I took like a semester of college. There's no way. And then throughout my recovery, I got Reiki certified, and then I got Reiki teacher certified, and then I got health coaching certified. And now I'm in a trauma course. And, all of these little things started happening. And now I look back and I'm like, my lost dreams are awakened. Like everything that I wanted when I was a teenager is coming true. And honestly, it's actually better because, like you said, like the medical world is great for traumas. It's great for like, we need emergency services, but it's not great for these healthy lifestyle. It's not really great for that kind of stuff, which is what I've always been about, like, even in my addiction, I would do juice cleanses, because I was like, oh, I'll just do a juice cleanse because that will make me feel better. Not really addressing the fact that I was doing drugs and drinking and doing all of that. But I was like, the juice cleanse is going to fix me. I highly do not do a juice cleanse. If you're somebody listening and you're doing drugs, you will end up in the hospital. That happened to me. I ended up with almost kidney failure because I was partying and juicing at the same time. But yeah, so I had, I think something like 27 arrests by the time I was 21. When I got sober, I had to turn myself in for 7 warrants in 3 different counties in 2 different states. And I just walked through all of it with gratitude. And I'm so glad that you started this talk about with gratitude, because that is the number one thing that has gotten me through every single thing that I've gone through in my recovery, everything I've had to talk about, everything I've had to face, all of the big traumas that have come up, the things I've experienced. I witnessed someone get murdered a couple of years ago, and it took me a while to find the gratitude in that, but I was able to, after doing some digging and finding out why was I there, what happened, like talking with my higher power about it. And I came to this space of gratitude from this experience. And the gratitude was that I realized that there are people out there that are still sick and suffering, and that just because I'm healthy and I'm doing well doesn't mean that other people are mentally well. And it made me realize too that a lot of the crime that happens in the world happens in areas that people don't have access to wellness. And it's like, no wonder crime is happening, because it's like, if you're not taking care of your physical body, your emotional and mental body is going to be shot. And so that gave me a sense of gratitude to know that what I'm doing is really impactful. And I have this opportunity to change the world and believe in my dreams and my goals. And it's just so crazy. Every time I start to talk about my story, I just can't believe that I'm talking about the person it's just why it blows my mind every single time. And I'm like, who am I even talking about? That's not even me. And so, yeah, I'm on this mission right now to help other women who are on their sobriety journey, who are sober curious, who are just looking to change their relationship with alcohol or with drugs, and so that they can truly live the life that they were put on this earth to have, and to believe in themselves and to feel good and to be empowered. And, and that was given to me, and through the copious amount of hours of work I've put into myself over the last 7 or 8 years. And so, yeah, I know that is God's mission for me.
Well, you covered a lot there, what started the thing. And when we're young, at 9, 10, 12, whatever age that is, our family is, no matter what it's ours, and it's who we are, and we associate with it, and we don't know anything different. When it starts to fall apart, if we don't have resources or people to help us support that trauma, that's a big trauma for a child, that mom and dad, no matter what that picture looks like, that's all you know, and it's falling apart. And so you started to numb your emotions with the alcohol, and one thing led to who you associate with, led to more serious addiction issues. But what I really like to do here is that there's a lot of parents out there that are in that dissolving state of life. And what would you say to parents when they're breaking up, or that relationship is no longer going to be there, and they have children? What would you recommend that they do to help those children cope with it? Because in many cases, we're not capable of helping our children cope with our crisis, right? What would you say to those parents that they're going through this? Because my parents went through divorce. I know other people have, and it affects everybody pretty severely at different levels. What would you share with the parents out there that going through this to help the child cope, so they don't get into the situation you got into? That work proactively. I think that's part of the overall health thing. Work proactively to avoid issues, health issues or addiction issues, those type of things. What would you share to those parents?
Yeah, I think the number one thing that I would have loved, and part of it is that I didn't do it or wasn't willing to do it, but again, my parents maybe should have been more stern about me doing this, was getting into some sort of community of other kids who are going through it around my age. Because the biggest thing is that I felt alone, and I kind of felt like nobody would ever understand me, because nobody I knew was going through it. So I think like support groups, and doing that before you present it to your kid, like setting it all up so that when you tell your kid, it's in that they already have all the support, and maybe even get some parenting tips on how to support your child during this time, because like it's hard. It is hard on parents. I know that, but I think if we can do our best to just show up for our kids and to show up for them in a way that makes them feel supported, loved, and safe, then it could be very helpful in maybe how the rest of their life may go. That would be the one thing that I wish that I would have had access to, or would have followed through with as a child.
Great, because I think that's that proactive things. We should work proactively in our lives, in our health, in our relationships, and whether they go upside down or get better. Plus, you were, if I may ask this, so your father had a substance issue of some sort. That how would you say that influenced you, seeing somebody, your dad having that some sort of substance issue?
Well,
How did it impact you?
yeah, it's super interesting. So my dad was sober from the time I was about 18 months old until 12 or 13. So by the time that, we really didn't see alcohol around. My mom didn't drink. It was just like not really in our house. But when my dad relapsed, I actually blamed AA, and thought it was their fault that my dad was no longer like the guy who he was my whole life. Like, he was this amazing father, and then he just started to slowly, and he's sober again, gratefully, for the last 13 years. But that period, I blamed AA. So again, I felt like I didn't have anywhere to go if I wanted to get sober. And I really didn't want to go to AA because of what they did to my dad. So that like really impacted my using career, of how long it lasted, because I think I would have been a lot more open to it had I not known my dad was so involved in AA. Like, we did everything. We went to AA meetings, we did everything in AA. So as a kid, I just immediately went, it's their fault.
And they do good work, but you just how can it, if it's so good, why did my dad fall apart, right?
Right.
Yeah. So you had dreams to become a doctor, so you went to school, and of course your addiction and all those things put the roadblocks up on a temporary basis. You found yourself, you got into a holistic practice. You mentioned Reiki. Why don't you share with everybody what Reiki is and what type of benefit that brings to people in addressing areas of their health?
Yeah, so Reiki is a form of energy work. I always like to call it kind of like a massage for your energy field, but it also works with your meridians, similar to acupuncture. So it really helps create blood flow, puts you in a deep relaxation, helps with anxiety, with pain. Actually, there's I believe, over 800 hospitals across the US right now that are using Reiki in cancer treatment and tumor reductions. It is a really powerful tool to help you grow spiritually, heal emotionally, heal physically. Yeah, it's working with your chakra system. It's working with, like I said, your meridians, which are thousands. I think there's like 13,000 meridian points on our body. And if you know anything about meridians, they are directly connected to different organs and different parts of your body. So that's what acupressure and acupuncture do. And so Reiki, acupuncture, they kind of work very similarly. And that's my best way of kind of bringing it to people who maybe don't understand what it is, but know what acupuncture is.
Can I interject something here from my knowledge? My wife is a holistic practitioner. We have a wellness center. We've had Reiki practitioners, medical acupuncturists, naturopath doctors. So we've had all the holistic approach. And people hear things like Reiki and energy and this and that. I encourage people to really understand the science behind it, because our body is energy at a cellular level. So if you can stimulate the body to do what it's supposed to do with the energy signaling, because everything that's going wrong with us can go wrong with this is right down to the cellular level with energy and how the cell is communicating with each other all the way down to the DNA. So having something that enhances the communication, the energy, that's nothing more than signaling, is a benefit. And a lot of people hear these. It was for years acupuncturists were like no way, right? we got a system that has to grow and accept these alternatives. So did I state that correctly?
Yeah, and you made me think of something that I always say. It's like, you know how you have a lamp in your house, right? And then you have to, in order to turn the lamp on, you have to plug it in to the wall. So that's like Reiki. It's like you are the lamp and Reiki plugs you in to like source and to, the universal energy of the world and turns you on and lights your body up so that your body can heal and you can thrive and you can live your purpose. So yeah, I love that little explanation of being a lamp.
What else? What other modalities or things that you used in your practice? And we'll talk a little more specific about how do you help people. But what else are you doing besides the Reiki and other?
Yeah, so I'm right now taking a embodied trauma-informed practitioner course. And I'll be adding that to my practice in the next couple of months here. I work with cacao, which is a medicine that opens your heart. I do a lot of inner child work and breath work, meditations. I host events at my office. But I'm trying to think. Yeah, I really just intuitively just listen. Like my biggest thing is listening to what somebody needs and helping them look at the areas of their life. Like, because I look at sobriety as it's not just like this mental thing. It's like a physical body. It's your physical environment. It's what are you listening to? What are you watching? What are you reading? All of these little things play a really big part in our overall wellness. And if you truly want to live a life beyond your wildest dreams, I really believe you have to look at your physical body, your emotional body, your spiritual body, and your mental body, and kind of address the issues that are happening in each one of those areas. And so that's what I do with a lot of people. And that's why the inner child work is so important, because a lot of the things that we're doing as adults is that we are operating from our 6-year-old self, and we don't even realize that we're throwing temper tantrums all the time. And those temper tantrums are based out of fear of something, fear of abandonment, fear of being left, or fear of being alone, or whatever. The list can go on and on. But a lot of our reactions to life as adults are coming from this 6-year-old mindset. And so reparenting ourselves and getting to that place where our little girl or boy inside of us feels like they can enjoy life. And so a lot of times I tell my clients, like I just sent a client of mine for her Christmas present, a gift set of finger paints, because something that she needs to do for herself is she needs to play more. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to send her finger paint, and then she can get her fingers all like nice and colorful and just like paint on big sheets of paper or the wall or whatever, because it's washable. And so it's like igniting that part of us. Yeah.
That inner child, we all have it. And, I've interviewed several people that work in the very same space with different modalities. But the ultimate objective is the same, is that part of what our woundedness is of a child is when your parents were breaking up, you either taken, it's my fault. That's number one. Or number two, I'm not loved. And that's a trauma. And we got to learn to love ourselves no matter what the past has done, because you're a magnificent human being. We all are. And so your work sounds like you're really working that person, rebuilding that inner child, the creativity, the kids just are. But our culture has squashed that too, the creativity and in that. And so you're working in that area with Reiki and trauma work, helping. Trauma could be the littlest thing. Many times people think trauma is somebody smacked you in the head or abused you sexually or all these other things that we call trauma. A trauma could be one word that somebody said something to you in your life. Because I've had it happen to me when I was in elementary school. I have 2 learning disabilities. They didn't know what it was back in the 50s and 60s. The teachers just thought, just a tough kid to teach. And my teacher, Mrs. Woods, I had her 2 years in a row. So she really got to see this thing that Tommy couldn't do. Come up to the blackboard, write a problem. I knew the answer. I could see it. I knew everything, but I couldn't translate it from what was here to the physical to write it. That's a audio dyslexia. It's a state of dyslexia, plus a ADD and ADHD. They didn't know what any of that stuff was. And one day she lost her cool. And of course, I'm embarrassed in front of my classmates. They're snickering, making fun. Gin's a dummy and that type of stuff. And she lost it one day. And she says, Tommy, are you dumb or something? That just reinforced. Now, I love the woman. I mean, we all fragile. We can all make a mistake, right? One word can change how a child looks at themselves. So trauma doesn't have to be something violent. Mm-hmm. And I think as parents, we got to recognize that too, is how are we talking to each other, to our children, tones of voice, the words we use, right? We don't know. My sisters heard the same stuff from my parents that traumatized me one way that didn't traumatize them. Why is that, right? So we're all going to accept that differently. So now you're in a path. Who knows? You still may become a doctor. Yeah. There's who made that rule up, right? That's what I would say when I coach my clients. But so now you're in that space to help. You mentioned working with people of addiction. It could be alcohol, drugs, or whatever. And there's other addictions as well. It's not just substance. It could be sex. It could be spending. It could be a lot of different things. What you eat and how you eat. All those things can be addictive behaviors. So who do you like working with? Where's your mission? I know a lot of us want to help the entire world, but where do you really want to work to take your gift, your talent, to get the greatest impact? Who would that be?
Well, my big mission, and I think this is what you and I really connected about, was that so my big mission is that I'd like to start a nonprofit for sober women, and it would be very similar to sober housing. However, the way that I want to do it is actually to help these women truly step into their superpower of who they are here and what they're here to do. And so I want to turn old warehouses in Chicago and hopefully globally eventually into farm to table, like housing and restaurants. So top floor, I've got it all planned out. It's indoor, outdoor, a greenhouse, and then 2 floors of living space of mini studio apartments with communal, kitchen and everything like that. And then the main floor is going to be a small like farm to table restaurant and a fresh produce market. And it's going to be in neighborhoods that are a little bit, like don't have access to grocery stores as easily and freely. Maybe don't have access to organic food, and then host cooking classes and host different events to improve the neighborhood, as well as educate the neighborhood and provide for each of the neighborhood. Because a lot of times sober living comes into a neighborhood and most people don't want it around because they think it's riffraff. But I don't want that to be the experience. I want it to be women that are coming in who want to expunge their records and heal trauma and learn a new skill, so that when they leave, I want them to have the knowledge and the skill set to do whatever it is that their heart is set out to do. So I see in the recovery world, there's not a lot of places that offer in-depth like life training, like so many people, we as addicts, and alcoholics, we don't know what to do with our lives when we get sober, especially if we're coming from a background of selling drugs or being in gangs or any of those things. Like, we don't necessarily know the skills to have a life sober. So I want to create that for women. And I've been really fortunate in my recovery to have my record not have anything that could cause me any harm. But that's what makes me want to work with women who do have things on their record, because if you have a felony, it's so hard to get a job. So I want to teach women how they can build their own business and be an entrepreneur and dive into their heart. And so, yeah, that's like my big passion project that I really, really can't wait for it to start to come into the world of existence. And I know that if I keep talking about it and I keep making plans, that it will start to come into existence. And so that's my like big passion project. But in the meantime, while I'm getting there, my passion is helping women who are, whether they're leaving AA and they're scared because AA has told them, if you don't go to a meeting a day, meeting makers make it. If you don't go, you're not going to make it. And are just on that brink of not really sure what to do. That's kind of where I feel like I really thrive in, is helping women feel like, okay, I can leave AA or 12-step recovery and I don't have to go back out and use and die. Like, I can have a fulfilling life and keep AA or other 12-step recovery tools as a tool for when I need it instead of depending on it. I also really like helping women who are early in recovery, who are just looking for an alternative to 12-step recovery. I think it's really powerful to have different areas that are focusing on different parts of your recovery. So those are my big.
I remember the conversation. I was watching your interview, and I don't recall exactly who it was off the top of my head. And you were talking about what you just said there, that you want to help 1,000 women. Right? I think that was a number.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you challenged me to 10,000 or 100,000 or something.
1,000 times 1,000
yeah.
it was the number. Why not 1,000 times 1,000? Because if you help one person significantly, they become an influencer, and then that just magnifies. So I hopefully I got you to. I hope I didn't scare you, but it's in reality is that 1,000 is an awesome thing. But if we help one can help two can help four. You get the multiples there. But it takes a vision, it takes a purpose and a why, because there's going to be challenges, right? Economic challenges, finding the right people to help you support how to put a nonprofit together. But hopefully out here that we're putting this information out, that people say, I want to be part of something to help other people. Maybe they've been down the path, they want to be able to contribute. So you're looking to, start putting the resource. I call resources, not always money.
Yeah.
You need people first in the vision for, buying into the vision for the purpose and the cause. And guess what happens? The resources start showing up, because now you got the multiples of energy working in the universe, as I call it. So I challenged you that day, and that's I hope I said maybe I scared her off, because I want to talk with you. But so anybody that's out there that wants to know more about what you do personally, maybe there's some work you can you work with people remotely as well as as well as what do you call it?
Yeah,
live.
I do. I can do all my work virtually and in person, including Reiki. So that's the great thing about Reiki, is that it can be done anywhere. So yeah, I love working with people from all over.
Okay. And so we want to, anybody out there has questions on a personal basis, want to reach out to Katie, please do. Somebody's been down the path and has resources, and everybody has a resource to support a cause. It doesn't have to be the money. It could be the teaching, the experience, the example. And I always like to let people know, whether we're dealing in own your own health concept here today, but creating a community like you described is so important because we become the community we associate with. We adapt those principles. We adapt that behavior. We adapt the disciplines or lack of disciplines. So we're creating that environment has the ability to change people because it's a community. So if you hang around a community of drug addicts, guess what you're going to get involved with. I remember when I did drugs. Oh no, I'll never do drugs. I'm smarter than that. I know that, but hey, it's kind of exciting being around that type of thing. And next thing I knew it, I was doing drugs. Okay. Thank God, God intervened and I had some people in my life that woke me up a little bit. Plus I saw the reality of a path I didn't want to go. I was either going to be in jail or dead, one of the two. And I made that decision and I changed my entire circle of everybody I knew that was even remotely close to that environment. And when I did that, everything changed. And by creating that environment, I think that's the key. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
You are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So
yeah.
Be mindful of who you. That's why I was saying it's so important. It's not just looking at physical health or mental health. There's so many areas of health.
Exactly. Well, I can visualize taking an old place like that and turning it into, a community that it's going to teach people. Like you said, if people have felonies, it really blocks a lot of opportunities for people. And here, teaching people how to take their gift and talent and take it to the marketplace is such an important thing. I've been an entrepreneur since 1983. Wow. So I appreciate those that being in business is not for everybody, but it can be for anybody if they have desire to. So that's exciting. So build a community. So they can reach you. What else do you have? We got your website. What's on your website here? So a little bit more about your work, anything about your mission?
Yeah, not yet. That's going to go up there next. Now I've said it out loud, so I'm going to put it in there. I never even thought to put it on my website, but maybe that'll be my first blog post. I'll write about my mission. So my website just has access to, a little bit more about me and my story, ways that you can work with me from coaching to helping you meal prep for the week. I got a little bit of everything on there just as far as ways that I enjoy working with others. And then what else? I think that's pretty much it. There's going to be a blog soon because I just started working with somebody who's helping me with social media stuff. And she's like, do you have a blog? I'm like, I don't know what to write about. But now I do. I'm going to write about my nonprofit idea, and that's going to go on my website.
Well, one of the things too, blogs are great as well, but I would also encourage you to create your own streaming program to get the word out and bring in like-minded people to talk to them, their stories, those type of things. Get that reach out there, share the good news, because you were limited. Tom Ginn can only see so many people in anything in my life, but if I get 2 people, 3 people in the same mission, and I would encourage you, besides a blog, do something like this for yourself.
That's a good idea. Tom, you're full of great ideas. I love it.
Well, I'm blessed that I've been associated with some very significant influencers, mind expanders, business people. This is not anything I've created or done. I just associate myself with people that I want to be like. I can't be them, but be like. Their purpose, their vision, their clarity, work beyond just what money will give you. What can I do for a greater cause? That's taken me, 50 years of business to really get to change my thinking, because it was always used to be about me and how much money I can make.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great, but it was shallow and it's short term, and it wasn't fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
Having a lot of money sometimes isn't fulfilling. So I love your mission. My whole mission in life has changed in the last 8-10 years. So I'm here to support you. So any way we can get your word out. I've been in that circle of around drug addiction and drug sales. I'm sharing the shadows of my life without detail, but because I was harmed, yeah, I was traumatized, didn't know how to deal with it. So I start with the alcohol, started then all the other crazy stuff that, and thank God people came into my life. That's all I can say. I'm grateful for that. So a great vision. Do you have anybody that I'm putting this out here? So whoever hears this, anybody that knows how to initiate a nonprofit, reach out to Katie, because it takes somebody to know how to do that. And when you get your blog and on your website, it's going to take some money and resources, right?
Yeah.
You're going to learn how to get fundraising, right? And get donors and contributors and those type of things. So I just encourage anybody out there that has experience in the area of setting up a nonprofit or the resources. You're going to need a lot of different minds, right?
Yeah.
I'm encouraged my audience to reach out to you. Who do you know?
So, thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm like, I need to build a board first. I think that's the first step in building a nonprofit, because you can't actually file until you have a board in place of more than 3 people. I think it has to be at least 3.
Yeah, and there's people out there that know people that provide that resources. Many times there's people that will come to your board that support it, meet it, and for the same objective. So I just want to put that out to anybody that's listening. We've had a lot of people come in and out today. This is the time between Christmas and New Year's, but we just want to tag and share this out there with your audience. Reach out to Katie. There's her website. And again, I'm going to put this up. Your email, they can reach out to your email. So, are you clear on when do you want to have this first center set up? Put pressure on you.
Like, I have to check in with myself for a sec, because I can tell like my ego is like 5 or 10 years from now, but I don't think that's true. I think that it's sooner than that. Because I think I have some key players already lined up who would literally drop first in a second if I just said, hey, this is what I have and I would love for you to be a part of it. So it would be amazing by 2025 to have the first place like running, not just like starting, but like the first person signed up and ready to go.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Clarity of the vision with a date, and it got to be that specific in it. That you've done some work on yourself, and just what I hear you understand what we're talking, what you think becomes your reality, and so you can change your reality overnight. I will recommend a book for you, and I recommend it for anybody out there. U Squared by Price Pritchard, because we've been taught to work linearly, step by step, but we have capability to work exponentially. And so things can move quicker than we think if we get the right mindset. Because if you think one step at a time, you'll look at one step at a time, and you won't see what's around you, because you're always worried about what the next step is. Learn to climb the ladder at 3 to 4 rungs at a time. So that's in essence the book. We can do more than we think. We're in control of that. So, so hopefully I'm getting a different message out there to the audience so that they can support your cause. So what are you going to be doing? I love this fact. Now that's New Year's. In the past, my New Year's used to be about how much I could consume of something. Yeah. What does your New Year's look like now? How do you plan yourself around the 2023? What's your vision for yourself this coming year?
Well, my vision for myself is on a personal level, I want to have a baby and buy a house and get married to my amazing boyfriend.
Oh.
So that's like, I've been prepping myself, my mental body, my emotional body, my physical body for all of that. And again, writing down all of my goals and affirmations and those things of our thoughts, writing them on paper, which is really powerful. So I'm definitely interested in that book. And then, yeah, I think, this upcoming year, I think is going to be, or not, I keep saying I think, but I have to change that. This year is going to be my best year yet. And I'm very excited for it. I believe that I figured out I've aligned myself with universal momentum, I guess, and have figured out the tools that things that I need to do every single day to make myself get to those goals. And honestly, those things that start at 5 a.m. when I'm sitting with my notebook, and that's how every day starts. And I have no idea what's to come, but that is what I start with, and that's been the most beneficial tool in my box of tools. So yeah, 2023 is going to be incredible, and I will probably go to bed early on New Year's Eve. Maybe I'll go see some music or something. It kind of gets boring nowadays, but I like it because I like boring, which is so wild. At peace, there's something magical about having peace.
I'm going to make a recommendation for you to do this, and this is a gift from me to you. Okay.
Okay.
We never know who we know that knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate enough with the group to be introduced to a gentleman named Rami El Batwari.
Okay.
He lived in the streets at age 12, left Canada. He read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, given to him at age 12. Do you know that story?
Oh, yeah.
You know Rami?
No, I just know the book.
Yeah. So anyway, he was given the book at age 12. He left Canada, got to Florida, lived in the streets at age 12. By the time he was age 17, he was a multimillionaire. Using the principles out of Think and Grow Rich, he lost all that, came back, became a mega millionaire, lost that, came back and became a billionaire, lost that. Today he's one of the wealthiest people in the world. And he wrote a book, and I'm going to get this to you. Can you really think and grow rich?
Oh.
Okay, and I encourage it. This is for you as well. So I will make sure I get your mailing address, because this book may be a book that will give you a different perspective, and a book maybe that help your people out there as a resource to say, yes, you can do more. No, you're not a victim in life. You can actually change everything by how you think. And I would make this recommendation, anybody that's out there, is join Rainey's group. I would encourage you to do that, because he has a heart, and he loves helping, and he works around the world with very influential people that know how to get things done. Okay. So it's the Mind Shift Mastery Entrepreneur for Business. That will be the group in Facebook. Okay. I'll send you the links just for that. Because the groups you hang with will dictate outcomes in life. So I want to share that with you.
Mm-hmm.
And also share that out there with the audience as well. Okay. Because collaboratively we can do a lot. So I'll get this book to you.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
But introduce you to a big circle of people that want to make a difference in the world. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you.
Right. So, in parting, what would you say? Having an addiction, there's all sorts of them, gave you learning lessons, and you're grateful for those learning lessons. You didn't stay a victim. What would you share in closing here today with anybody that's out there that's struggling with any sort of addiction, whether it be alcohol or any other substance? It could be other types of addictions. What would you say to somebody out there that to help them?
Sorry, I'm pausing to think about that because
No, that's fine.
It's an interesting question because it's I think that I would say, I'm just saying this to you specifically. I don't know who it is, but that you're enough, and that you're capable of doing great things, and just don't give up on yourself.
Perfect. Well, I've appreciated this, and knowing the environment that's out there today, and it's actually getting worse in many cases. We need a lot of people that work proactively, and I'm here to support you in any way I can. So thank you for being here today. I'm grateful.
Thank you, Tom. I am super grateful myself. I appreciate
Okay.
appreciate
I'm
it.
going to put you in the back room,
Okay.
and you negotiated the buffet of candy, so I got all the candy in the world there for you. So that's a joke. Excuse me. So I'll put you in the back room. We're going to wrap it up.
All right.
Hold tight.
Sounds great. Thank you.
You can reach out to Katie. There is her email, and I'm going to put up her website as well. Take note of that. Share this out with your friends, your colleagues on the replays, whatever, making a difference in the world. We never know who's going to hear this message and how it can save somebody's life and significantly make a difference. So I always want to give recognition where recognition is due. I always want to thank Ken Walls for his teaching how to do live streams, so we take our mission and put it to work with that. And I encourage everybody to share that. So Ken, thanks a lot. And with that all said, I want to wish everybody a safe, blessed New Year's. Be healthy, take ownership of your health, make a decision, and you can change anything in your life once you have the desire and you make the decision. So everybody have a great New Year's weekend coming up. Be safe, and we'll catch you on the turn.